Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Breeze. Breezeway Productions The Breeze. We bring you the latest independent films and film festival news, and we're excited to kick off our coverage of this year's Cinequest Film Festival. We've been happy to work with them over the years, and we have a great lineup of filmmakers and films to talk about. Today, we have Michelle Danner here with us to talk about her film, Miranda's Victim. How are you, Michelle?
Hi, how are you? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well. And looking forward to talking about this film. You have a wonderful cast put together for it. So tell me a little bit about Miranda's Victim.
Well, this is the story of what happened in 1963 to Patricia Weir when she was abducted and how she had to fight for justice. And of course, this gave birth to what we know as to be the Miranda Rights,
Mhm.
which I personally never questioned it in a movie, my last movie before Miranda's Victim called The Runner,
Mhm.
which we also showed at Cinequest. The first scene is you have the right to remain silent, you have the right to, and I never was, where did that come from? And so I dug deep and did the research and learned, I was offered it, George Colbert, who was the one who thought about asking the question, what happened to the victim? What was the
Mhm.
Miranda rights about? And to our surprise, our bewilderment, this had never been told, neither through another movie nor a series nor a documentary, nothing. This is the first time that this story is told. So this makes it obviously an important event. It's an important story.
Yeah, I'm sure that you did a lot of research while you're working on this film. What kind of archival research did you have to do to find out about the case itself and Miranda's rights and so on?
Well, first of all, I went to Phoenix, Arizona, where it happened, and that was a
Okay.
turning point in my research because I got very emotional. I went to the movie theater where Patricia Weir worked that night. I did the route with the bus, went to the bus stop where she got off,
Mhm.
and, you know, rode to the desert where she was taken, the house she grew up in, the house where she was married, his house, Miranda's house, the courthouse where he was indicted. There's a museum there with a presence with Miranda and
Wow.
pictures. But I remember particularly being at the bus stop and going, if she hadn't gotten off the bus at that hour, 'cause she had a crush on this guy she was working with, she took a later bus. Has she
Mhm.
taken an earlier bus? And as I just really got emotional, I went, it wouldn't have been her. It wouldn't have changed her life so drastically. But then I thought maybe it would have been somebody else who was not going to go after him. Like maybe it had to happen to her because she was the one that had the courage to do this, to, seek justice. So
Mhm.
that was part of my research. And then, of course, I did a lot of reading and court transcripts and watched a lot of courtroom thrillers, for inspiration,
Yeah.
all of that.
Wow. It's interesting when we talk about Miranda rights. So how did it end up happening? So this was a horrible crime that occurred to Miranda, and then it ended up working through the system. So it's now every police officer when they're making arrest has to read Miranda rights. Is that how it works?
Yes, and that's right. It went up all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court reversed the ruling that
Mhm.
was set, and there were several trials. I mean, it's a whole story, but what's really interesting about the story, and for that you have to watch the movie, is that it comes full circle, and it's got a big twist at the end. And I just loved that about the story. I found it fascinating. Oh, wow, this really, it was
Mhm.
justice on every level.
It's good to see that the justice system was working in this account. It's a breath of fresh air to see when those things happen and work for the public. So you have a great cast that's involved in it. Abigail Breslin, Donald Sutherland, amongst others that are a part of it. How did it work for reaching out to each of them? Did you send it to their agents? They read it. They said they were on board. How long development was it on this? Tell me about that process.
From the moment we said that we were going to do it, which I believe was in March,
Mhm.
we started to shoot in June. So it went quickly. The pre-production went fairly quickly. And yes, I had very strong ideas as to who the actors should be. And many of them that are in this movie ended up being my first choice, which
Nice.
is quite, unusual. But one of the pivotal moments was Donald Sutherland, and I have a particular attachment to Donald Sutherland because he always reminded me of my father, and my mother. He was my mother's favorite actor. Gee, I wonder why. Um, so when he said yes, oh, I was elated. Then we offered it to Abigail, to Abby, and her and I met. She read it right away. We met for coffee, and we looked into each other's eyes, and we said, "We're going to do this together." And that was another wonderful turning point. And then my dear friend and former student, Enrique Morciano, who every time I've made a movie in the last 20 years, I've called him to be in it. And he's always busy because he's always working on something. I did my very first movie, How to Go Out on a Date in Queens, with him. Um, and so I talked to him about it, and he, loved the script. And I said, I want you to pay Detective Cooley. And then there was Andy Garcia that came on board. So little by little, the dominoes started to stack. And I always had a profound admiration for Mireille Enos and for Brent Sexton, maybe from watching The Killing or other things that they've done.
Yeah.
Uh, so, when I found myself the day before we shot having a dinner with them, and they were both sitting next to me, and I was like, oh my God, two of my favorite actors right here. And then the rest is, of course, Taryn Manning from Orange is the New Black, Nolan Gold, who we've watched grow up in Modern Family, Emily Van Cam and Josh Bowman, who are a great couple, and so talented, Ryan Felipe, who we've always, loved, and Luke
Yeah.
Wilson, Dan Laurie. I've done another movie with him, phenomenal actor. I've watched him on Broadway, off Broadway, in The Wonder
Yeah.
Years. I hope I'm not forgetting somebody. It's a big cast,
Yeah,
and
Kyle MacLachlan, also huge, wonderful to see him a
uh,
part of this.
certainly would not forget Kyle MacLachlan because I loved working with him.
Mm.
Phenomenal. Kyle, just phenomenal. I hope I get to collaborate with him again. I hope I get to collaborate with all my actors again. It looks like I'm going to get to collaborate with a few of them because I'm actually officially, we just got a SAG waiver, officially
Nice.
in pre-production for a little indie called The Italians, where I'm
Nice.
hoping people will want to go hug their families afterwards and eat a lot of Italian food.
I see it. Nothing better than Italian food. It's taken from New Yorkers here, best in the world. But I've seen a trend that in a lot of your films, you have a wonderful ensemble. Do you have producers that you work with regularly that put this together so that they're familiar with you? They don't have to sift through offers, because another film you had Ron Perlman, Jason Alexander, How to Go on a Date in Queens, which I thought was cool. So you have a stellar lineups. Is the process like
A
really
lot
smooth
of
for you?
Oh, well,
Yeah.
nothing is smooth. I mean,
Yes.
nothing is
Yes.
smooth, but I guess you could say that on a certain level it might be. I have certain relationships, and when I pick up the phone and I talk to actors, want to work with me, which is great. I think I speak the language, and it's not the actor's language; it's the language of creativity, and taking risks. And I love actors. I have a profound respect and admiration for them, and they know it. And I'm also an actress myself, so I understand what it takes. It's you have to be very courageous to be an actor. People don't understand exactly, that kind of bravery, but it is. Um, and so, yeah, no, I mean, I feel lucky that, I've been able to work throughout my life until this point in all my features with some phenomenal actors. Yeah.
Yeah, I was very happy to see that, and I'm glad that you got into Cinequest for this film. One of my questions I also had before we started the interview was about your thoughts on the current state of the industry. Congratulations on getting one of the interim agreements, so that you can continue making the next film. But I just wanted to hear your thoughts on the current strikes and everything that's happening in present day.
Of course, and I just want to say, just to answer yes, I have a group of people that it takes a village to make a movie. And I
Mhm.
work with the same producers, the same editor, a lot of the same directors of photography. My first AD is the same one now from, you make these relationships and you understand each other, and sometimes, you talk, quickly with each other because, that's the nature of the beast.
Yes.
In terms of the strike, of course, I support wholeheartedly the WGA and SAG in terms of, getting what, they need. Um, you know, and I know there's a little bit of this backlash with the interim, but I think that the people that are getting the waivers are truly independent productions that have nothing to do, no affiliation with the studios, and it's important because so many people are hurting right now. People live from paycheck to paycheck, that they should be able to pay their bills. I mean, this is, on the heels, not so, after COVID in those 2 years. And so, the fact that some truly independent movies are able to move forward, I think is important. But, absolutely support and hope that this strike gets resolved soon, and they come to an agreement that is, fair, for the writers and the actors.
Yeah, I appreciate hearing that insight. Like you said, there's a lot of confusion about what goes on with interim agreements, and that the fact that you were able to secure one means you've spoken with the union, they've checked everything out, and that they've agreed to say that you can go on with production forward with your next film. So it's good to hear it from both sides. That you being an actress as well as making these films, I think that that's good to hear that you stand with both unions, and I also agree with you that we hope that an agreement is reached soon. But at the end of the day, Miranda's Victim, Cinequest. Do you know when and where the film is going to be screening?
Yes, I do. I think it's 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock on Sunday, August 19th. As a matter of fact, I will be there. I'll be on set the day before and I'll be on set the day after. But I'm flying up to San Jose and I'm really looking forward to seeing it. It's the California Theater. And I have to tell you that the movie, the Miranda's Victim, premiered in Santa Barbara at the Arlington Theater, which is a historical theater. Over
Sure.
2,000 people came. A lot of our
Mhm.
cast came up to support. The second historical theater was the Tampa Theater in Florida. We're part of the Gasparilla Film Festival.
Nice.
And that this would be the third historical theater that we're going to play at. And there's one more. There's a fourth historical theater, the Avalon Theater in Catalina Island,
Mhm.
on September 23rd. So I love that Miranda's Victim, that's a period piece, is playing and doing the festival circuit in all of these historical theaters.
Yeah, it's good that you're playing to history, so to say. You're telling history, you're showcasing history, so people can learn about how these things happen. And Michelle Danner, I want to thank you for spending the time with me to talk about your latest film, Miranda's Victim.
Thank you so much for having me.